Welcome to the Tom Matt Show. You are walking through the front door of the refirement zone. And now, your host, Tom Matt.
Welcome, everyone. Welcome to this week's episode of the Tom Matt Show. Last week, Craig was here. Back-to-back sponsor weeks, I guess, with Craig, and Brock coming up here in a second. Performance review. That was a really good interview with Craig to kind of get you in the fiduciary thinking mind of why you want to hire these really smart people to help you do your thing. Because without smart people, we make mistakes. And without much further ado, I'm going to bring in Brock Fletcher. I've read his bio so many times, but this is his 19th appearance. Do we need to do the bio? Katie, Jenna, the whole family. How's the new house? How's the new dog? Okay, there we go. We're all good. I mean, we got Ashton Henderson coming up next week with an interview with him. We're doing work with him.
I love Ashton. That's awesome.
Ashton's awesome. He's greatness. And, we just got to keep working with the MSU family, which Brock is part of. Welcome back, my friend. 19th visit. Hey. Let's talk trends for 2024, kind of piggyback on to last show. But you know how we do this thing. We got to do the family thing first. So go right ahead, please. Catch everybody up on what's happening.
Oh, man. No, everything's going well. So it's funny we're doing our 19th episode now because that means we'll be doing 20 soon. And this is my 20th year in real estate. So,
sweet.
Pretty stoked about that. But no, the family's great. Jenna's doing well. She's a senior. She'll be graduating in April. And so she's going through grad school applications right now. And then puppy training is interesting. This is the third day of doggy daycare. So that's been a game changer, let me tell you. It's alleviating a lot of pressure off me.
Okay, that's where I was going to go. In what way does it eliminate pressure from you? Because I love dogs. I've never really been a dog owner, so I don't really know the whole what you're going through with this. So kind of enlighten us into the comedy of what's going on with this, because I'm sure there's funny stories.
So my hands are healed up now, but like going on about 4 weeks, like my puppy just likes to chew human flesh, basically. And I'd be a bloody mess every day playing with this dog, and it turns out it was all my fault because you're not supposed to roughhouse with them. But
how could you not roughhouse with that cute dog? I mean, come on.
Yeah, but she just, she's always looking for like bare skin to bite, and it's a puppy thing. I mean, she's not like purposely trying to hurt you, but she's just got the rest of her vaccinations, and so she was eligible. Somebody said, well, you ought to try to take her to like one of these doggy daycare places and see if that doesn't work out their energy. And we took her on Wednesday, and I picked her up, and she slept. She literally fell asleep in the truck and then slept all night. I had to wake her up to eat dinner. And then she fell immediately back to sleep till first thing in the morning. I thought, this is the way to go.
Oh,
because
if we could do that, if we could do that with our children, wouldn't that be awesome?
Yeah. Oh my gosh. It's a game changer. It really is. So this is day number 3 of doggy daycare.
Oh, good.
I'm sold on it, Tom. I'll tell you.
Well, I'm glad you said the word sold, because that's part of what we do here with the Reality of Real Estate. Brock Fletcher's our guest today, everybody. As you know, Brock he's one of our key sponsors for the show, and he's a subject matter expert when it comes to real estate, which is very, very important for everyone to understand, because there's so much ups and downs and all arounds, and I just crazy. What about Katie? How's she doing? Is she enjoying your new house?
Yeah, we love it. It's been great. So we're settled in at this point, so it's just everything's chugging along nicely. But no, she's doing very, very well. Good.
Yep. Well, make sure you said I asked about her, and
I will.
And again, I want to thank you for inviting us to that event downtown. If you ever get an invitation from Brock, if you're one of Brock's customers, you're going to get these invitations to these super cool events that he does, and you want to do these things because we got to meet a couple of MSU football players and some other people, and saw Katie, and it was just a really nice time. And I mean, we've done that foosball thing or football thing or whatever the heck you call it. We've done. I actually missed out on the best one ever, which you got to give me enough notice on this so I can make sure I'm here for this for the putt thing. I absolutely want to be in on. Oh man,
the putt one is probably the one that everybody loves the most.
Oh,
so
I can imagine why. I mean, there's a golf course. We'll set it up, Brock. Tell everybody about, the setup of it. This is not like a putt course where the kids go. This is like a legitimate putting green course. Go ahead. Talk a little bit about that with your event, please.
Yeah, we do it every year over at Hawk Hollow Golf Course. So if you're from mid Michigan, then you know about Hawk Hollow. But they have a natural grass putting course out there called Little Hawk. It's an 18-hole putting course, and some of them you could hit a wedge on some of these holes. They're pretty elaborate. But we've done it, man, probably 6, 7, 8 years in a row. We always have either Duke FM or WITL come out and do a live broadcast, and we give away swag. We give away selling team swag. We give away our red sunglasses, which are kind of popular. We, this last year we had our Trey Mosley from MSU came out and did some autograph pictures, and we gave away like a leaf blower and cups and
all kinds of
gift
swag.
Cards and picture. I mean, just get all kinds of giveaways. And that event typically has about 200 people.
Yeah,
we'll show up to that.
And let me tell you guys, if you're not around mid-Michigan and you haven't, I've only done that course once, and I just remember it was just, and Brock's not kidding. You could use a wedge on a couple of, and I'm not a big golfer anymore, but you could use a wedge on these little putt courses. The holes are that long, they're that involved, they're just amazingly landscape, and I just love the landscaping. You mentioned Trey Mosley's name, and I was really, really glad he was at your event. We got a chance to meet a solid Spartan like him. He'll definitely be in the NFL. And the context that you're making at the university with these football players and bringing them in and letting them speak and exposing them to your trainings and all of this, Brock, kudos to you for doing all that, because we got to help our young people as much as possible to just kind of network with them, give them some skill sets, give them some confidence, give them some reps. You should be acknowledged for that. And I just want to acknowledge you for that. Thank you for helping all our Spartans.
Yeah. Trey actually texted me yesterday. He's in Florida training right now, but he'll be back up for his pro day, and he actually wants to come in and work a couple of days while he's here. So I was like, yeah, come on in.
There's a kind of guy. Exactly. I mean, see, that's the thing, everybody, and why we want to support them in some aspect. I saw Darian Harris did something on LinkedIn about the NIL stuff, and that's what I'm going to talk to Ashton about when he comes on next week, and you guys will hear that one as well. We need to support our university, and we've got a really good foundation starting with Coach Smith, and I just think it's going to be fantastic. And we have to especially the non-revenue sports, they need our support as well, and we're going to do more of that going forward for sure. We're talking to them. I'm actually going to hockey tonight, and I usually run into people over there, Brock, where we're talking about radio and how we can make this better. And this vehicle that you have helped us create is really growing like mad. I mean, just growing like mad. I just interviewed Roland Lazenby, and that show will drop pretty soon. And he wrote the Consummate Magic book. So much information about Michigan State. He's like a huge author. I didn't know Roland. I know him now very well, and it was just a great interview. Might be one of our best interviews ever, but it was so much MSU focus, so much Lansing focus. And I have a copy of his book for you, Brock. I want to get you a copy. He sent me some.
Thank you.
He sent me some promos. Yeah, it's an 800-page hardcover book, and there's one with your name on it. I'm definitely going to get one for you, and I have it downstairs, so I want to make sure that I mention that to you. And when I see you next, I'll bring it by the office. So if you see this big giant, I just know you'll read it. I mean, I gave one to Justin Grinnell. I know he'll read it. He's a basketball guy, and I know you'll read it because you're such a Sparty and such a Lansing guy. There's so much good history there. Let me carry this through here, everybody. I'm gonna wrap this segment. We're going to talk trends for 2024. We're sort of piggybacking on to the last episode that Brock was here, because we did the 2023 recap and the 2024 kind of prognostication thing. Now it's time to see how accurate Brock was, and you'd be surprised how accurate he really was. This is The Tom Matt Show.
This segment of The Tom Matt Show is brought to you in part by the Source of Light and Power by band leader Archivall and broadcaster Mitch Anderson. Hear the sound that is endorsed by Odyssey headphones, linear tube audio, RME converters, and Peluso microphones at sourceoflightandpower.bandcamp.com. This is the Tom Matt Show.
This segment of the Tom Matt Show is sponsored by Craig Stiles, Ameriprise Financial, your Ameriprise Financial Advisor, our Ameriprise Financial Advisor. Just like all three of our sponsors, we use their services. We utilize their services. We know these people. They're the best people. We trust them. You need to get with all three of our sponsors, but for this segment, Ameriprise gets all the love. Your Ameriprise Financial Advisor and ours, Craig Stiles, can help you plan for the life you want today and well into the future. Call Craig 1-800-528-1355. Local number 517-483-4893. His email is craig.stiles@ampf.com. Offices are located at 2400 Lake Lansing Road, Suite B is in Brilliant or B-ism, Lansing, Michigan 48912. Got to thank Craig for creating Desideri Analytics. Let me tell you, we did our, as I said in the open, because Craig was on the show last week, we did our performance review. I like doing performance stuff. I like to see what people are doing with performance. So we did our year-end performance review, and I mean, it's like I was saying don't change anything, but he came up with some ideas where we needed to change something. That's why I want to listen to these pros, because they know what the hell they're talking about. Okay, let's just give them credit. Let's do that. Stations that have carried us in the past, carry us now, all over the place. Of course, the Michigan Talk Network, featuring WJIM 1240 AM in Lansing, thanks to Steve and Ivy Gruber, who we just adore. They're awesome people. They're best. Steve's a huge star. As I like to say, needling Steve, I'd like to say Ivy's the real star. But Steve, you know what I'm talking about. Okay, so just rest assured, everybody, WJIM they're top notch. The Michigan Talk Network, WKOQ 1490 Muskegon, WYPV FM 94.5 Mackinac City, WGHN 92.1 FM in Grand Haven, and of course the flamethrower at WKAR Michigan State University, AM 870, all the way to Lake Michigan. Love it so much. And remember that we have 4 books on Amazon. That thing called Amazon. You can go get them. And the Maximize Your Quality of Life book, the very first book we wrote like 10, 12 years ago, popular. Young people like it. And it's it's like cool. Wrote it for boomers, but all of the topics in there are super solid for everybody's health. So if you're thinking about and you're looking for something, you're looking for a Father's Day gift, Mother's Day gift, whatever, please check it out. It's well worth it. All right, back to the show with my brother from another mother, Brock Fletcher. Real estate trends for 2024. Piggybacking onto what we talked about last time, you said real estate is going to change a little bit, and you also said that the interest rates were going to come down. And that was about, 2-3 months ago when you said that. And now as this thing's airing, we'll see where we're at. But the trend is, boom, Brock Fletcher nailed it. Go ahead, brother. Talk about it. Where are we at with all that money stuff?
Yeah, they have come down. They've actually come down for about a month and a half straight now. So we're down at like 6.5% on the 30-year fixed interest rate. And so we're good. That's good. And my prediction, we can check it again. But I think by the time we get to June, we'll be between 5 and 6%. So the Fed's gonna slow a little bit on their rate drops. Just because the inflation numbers weren't quite as good the last time, but inflation had gotten into check, but they're going to slow things a little bit because they don't want inflation to creep back up.
Yeah, they've got it. You know what? As much as I was like hyper, like looking at them sideways, they got a good thing happening. They seem to have a good handle on this. And this was a self-imposed weird spot with our economy with COVID. That was a once in 100-year thing. So, yeah,
that's right. Had it not been for COVID, we would be 5. We would have been 5 or 6% the whole time through that.
Right.
The only reason that rates were lowered was to spur economic growth, which it worked. And now we're paying the piper on that a little bit. That's why we had the crazy inflation, is because the government gave away so much free money during COVID.
And people bought. I mean, when you get money and people and they were bored because they're sitting at home doing nothing.
Yep.
Getting online. Amazon made all kinds of money with this. You had
they did.
I want to revisit some of the notes from last show, Brock, with the across the US, the 20% decline in availability. I think that was availability. I'm not quite sure because I didn't have my notes aren't that clear. But what were you referring to there?
It was a 20% decline in the amount of transactions that occurred.
Right. Okay. There you go.
And that's the 20% mid-Michigan is actually closer to 35% on a national level.
Okay. So rating our area here in mid-Michigan, how's the temperature check compared to the rest of the country? As you just said, 20 to 35%. How does it balance out? Is it pretty similar?
Michigan had a really soft landing in comparison to the rest of the company or in the rest of the country. It's probably not a surprise. The areas that were hit the hardest in terms of drop in transactions were the areas where the sales prices are the highest.
Of course.
Right.
And that was the trend. Is that how that worked out?
That was the trend.
Gotcha.
You're more middle America folks, if you will, like here in Michigan, those areas, the drop off in transactions was not as dramatic. Tom, it's important to note though, our prices still went up 5% last year. So we had 20% fewer transactions, but values still went up by 5% in the greater Lansing area. And so it's what that demonstrates is that the only reason there were fewer transactions is because fewer people decided to sell their homes. There's plenty of buyers out there.
There's plenty of buyers. There's plenty.
Yeah.
There's going which equates to demand, of course, because if there's buyers, that means that they're looking. And so you said some interesting things about, get in now and then perhaps refinance down the road. Do you still feel that way?
For sure. Buying now is important. The rates are about 6.5% on the 30-year fixed rate now. They're going to come down as soon as it makes sense to, generally speaking, refinance once interest rates have gone down 1 full percentage point.
I see.
Right. So every time we drop a percentage, that could be justification to refinance.
And see, that's the thing, everybody. Those steps are going to take time because a full point is not going to happen like overnight. That's not going to happen. So if you're waiting, if you're biding time, you have the families growing, you need to do it, or you need to do the other side. If like us, when we downsized, thanks to Mike Dedman and Brock with selling Big House Holt, there's all those different factors that go in for people that are, they might be in need of real estate and they might be in need of help. I'm going to carry this through, Brock, because we're going to come up on break here. Brock Fletcher's back. We're continuing the show from the previous show, which we knew we were going to do. This is kind of how we set this up. The prognostication for 2024, everybody, for real estate trends and topics and issues that you need to be aware of. Brock is our guy, as you know. He's our guy that we trust. He was our buyer's agent. He was our seller's agent, which I will say in my speech in a second here. And then when we come out of break, trends for 2024, we got to keep people positive. And one of my clips I did in the video was, we need people to buy homes. I'm going to talk about rentals when we come back as well, and how much all that's going for, which is unbelievable. Again, Brock Fletcher, trends for 2024, reality real estate. This is the Tom Matt Show.
Thank you again to our Segment 2 sponsor, Craig Stiles of Ameriprise Financial. For more information on services provided by Craig, please visit ameripriseadvisors.com/Craig.Stiles or by calling 517-483-4893. You're tuned in to the Tom Matt Show.
Third segment of Tom Matt Show is sponsored by White Law, a new sponsor, Jamie. I had people tell me that they listened to his first episode on the show and they had no idea the depth of why Jamie became an attorney. That's why we do long form radio, so we can talk to our guests, get to know them, so you can get to know them, so you can trust them, just like our guy today, Brock Fletcher. If you need help, if you need justice, if you need litigation, you want to get a hold of White Law PLLC, where justice meets compassion. White Law is our advocate in times of need, sponsors the Mad Dog Minutes, sponsors this radio program, this segment. We are here to listen, support, and fight for what you deserve. And let me tell you, that guy's got a bulldog attitude, another Spartan, another bulldog attitude guy. Love it so much. I mean, the guy is so spot on, so cool. 2 degrees from MSU. Gotta love it. Contact White Law today for your free consultation. whitelawpllc.com. whitelawpllc.com or call 517-777-9785. Again, sponsor of the Mad Dog Minute. So proud to have him on our team, along with Brock, along with Craig. We've got these 3 rock stars that they cover a lot of ground: financial fitness, reality real estate, and I haven't figured out the title for the Law Dog thing, but I keep saying Law Dog, and Sandy doesn't like that. But anyways, it works out. It works out fine. Okay, back to Brock. Talking trends for 2024. This is really important to talk about. And I'm glad that Brock, and I'm so grateful to him for his very consistent, Brock, you've been a very consistent friend and a very consistent sponsor. And we want to work together to help people, and you help us. And through this show, we help others. And that's the whole point. And I want to make sure I thank you for doing that. So thank you again for being our partner and everything, and helping other people. Right? I mean, because it's so important to just answer questions and educate people. Please, let's before we get into the rental stuff and talking about performances and more trends, I would like to go into the rental industry and what the heck is going on with all of that and all that money, and how we can help people figure out a way. Are there ways to get the down payment? I mean, what are some of the strategies that people who are paying $2,000, $2,500 a month for an apartment? What are some of the strategies for people to get into the real estate market? What would you suggest?
Tom, are you saying getting out from being a renter and
Yes.
into home ownership?
Yes.
Yeah. You know, I think the critical thing for most people that are, and for the most part, we're talking about people that are between the ages of 20 and 35. The average purchase in the United States is 35 years of age for the first home purchase. So the best thing that somebody can do is put away money towards a down payment and towards closing costs. So there's a lot of availability of financing with a 3% down payment. And so realistically, if somebody was to, let's assume you went to college and you're starting your professional career between the ages of 22 and 23, there's no reason, as long as you're making at least $50,000 a year, that you can't put away enough money over a 2 or 3 year period of time to be ready for home ownership by your 26th or 27th birthday.
That's gold. That is so spot on, because our young people, because of the debt that they acquire, and we don't educate them enough on the financial fitness kind of side of things, parenting, whatever, they've been gifted all of these things. They've been entitled to a lot of things. But let me tell you, it's not just the Gen Zers' fault or the millennials' fault. It's on the parents. It's on us for helping our children understand the value of money and not acquiring all of this debt. I mean, you're a Dave Ramsey guy. I mean,
yeah. I mean,
throw that out there, Brock. Share some of the Dave Ramsey wisdom when it comes to for our young people. Let's talk more about young people.
Sure. Well, yeah. Number one, I've read all of Dave Ramsey's books, and before he endorsed me as a local service provider, I had followed Dave's teachings to become debt free. My wife and I had, so that was a big priority for me. And then subsequently, how it pertains to young people, we don't have enough parental guidance in terms of not taking on credit card debt. You know, for our young people, they don't need a credit card. You don't need a credit card to build credit. That's a misnomer. And if you're going to get a credit card, you have to pay it off every month, right? That's critical. And then I think the other thing, and this is a much bigger conversation, but parents really need to be questioning whether their child should be going to college. And here's what I mean by that. If you are going for a very specialized degree, that's one thing. But if you're going to college as just a next step without any focus on what you're going to come away with it, I really have to question whether you should be going. Right. So like even a generalized business degree. I mean, I'll be honest, that's pointless, right? Unless you're getting a degree in economics or accounting or something, a general business degree is not going to do anything for you. You know,
unless let me preface that. Excuse me. Let me preface that. Unless the plan is to go to graduate school
Correct.
and get an MBA.
Unless it's a step, you know, yes, you're right. And I should have said that. But like if you're stopping at general business, you know, you might have been better off with trade school or real, you know, I mean, I can take a young person and have many, in fact, between 18 and 19 years of age where college wasn't for them. Within 4 years, I can have them earning $80,000 to $100,000 a year, and they don't have any student loan debt.
Let's repeat that. That is something that we need to illustrate, because Brock is not alone in this with his trades helping and his training people up. Please repeat what you just said there, because in case people are just joining us, and that's a huge point.
A 4-year degree, let's just say it's $100,000. That's about what it is, $100,000. So you send your child to college, and they're going for a general degree that's not necessarily going to pay a big dividend. So you're going to have $100,000 invested in that. I can take an 18 or a 19-year-old, and I can teach them how to be a great agent. They will be earning $100,000 a year by the 4th year, and they will have no student loan debt, right? So that first year, they might make $20,000. Year 2, they might make $40,000. Year 3, they might make $60,000 or $70,000. By the 4th year, I should be able to have them at 100. And by the way, even if they're not at 100 at year 4, let's say they're at 100 by year 5, that's still way more of a home run than $100,000 in debt and no guarantee of a job that's paying more than 40 or 50 grand a year.
And the other point I'd like to add there, that was great. Thank you for repeating that, Brock. The other point I'd like to add to everybody is if you're 18 or 19 years old and you're making 20 grand, that's pretty good money. I mean, you know, for a family, a person with kids or something like that, now that's a whole different story. But for a young person who's maybe getting their first job, that's not bad. And so you're getting this training and you're getting paid.
And mentorship.
And mentorship.
Coaching with me every week.
Exactly. And see, that's the whole thing about all of this. And Brock's been doing this for quite some time now. That's why he helps all these MSU students. It's very, very vital to bring our young talent. And I try to recruit talent at the university all the time to stay in mid-Michigan, stay at the university, because Lansing's growing and mid-Michigan is growing. And the reason that we had such a soft landing, I'm going to carry this through, Brock, because we're going to come up on break here. The reason that in my opinion anyways, the reason that we had a soft landing in the mid-Michigan area with real estate, everybody, is because, like Brock said, we're not in that high dollar area like some of these other parts of the country. And so keep that in mind. You can get in our little neighborhood here, where we live in Lansing, where we have our little house Lansing. The value of these homes over here, they're awesome neighborhoods, and they're very cost effective, and it was unbelievable how great the neighborhood is. And so you got to keep all those factors in mind. All right, real estate trends for 2024, reality of real estate. Brock Fletcher, my brother from another mother. You're listening to The Tom Matt Show.
Thank you again to our segment 3 sponsor, White Law PLLC, where justice meets compassion. White Law is your advocate in times of need. We are here to listen, support, and fight for what you deserve. Contact White Law today for your free consultation. Visit us at whitelawpllc.com or call 517-777-9785. This is the Tom Matt Show.
Joker is right. The 4th segment of the Tom Matt Show is sponsored by the Joker, Brock Fletcher, Brock, at the selling team of Keller Williams Realty. I don't know if you guys picked up on that Joker. You probably didn't hear that in the recording because Mitchell probably edited it out, but we have so much fun talking between segments on all this stuff. You guys got to check out the video sometimes. It's pretty hilarious how we have these conversations. But Brock is the man. He's got a couple of numbers. I'll give you the first one to the office, and then I'll give you the super secret that's not so super secret in a second. 517-853-6408. 6408. Or, here you go. Here's the one. Write this down. Dust on your dash. 517-303-3262. 517-303-3262. Tell him, text him, leave him a voicemail. You'll get his voicemail. He'll tell you when he's going to call you back. He's checking messages at X amount of time. Does it every day. I've said this before. Being a former telecom professional, I'll always be a telecom professional. I admire the heck out of that because so rarely do people do this. Professional business people. That's the other thing we're talking about. We'll continue this thread of talking about training young people. When you set your voicemail up like that as a professional and you train your people to do the same thing, it's so advantageous. It puts you ahead of the game. That's why you want to use the selling team of Keller Williams. You can go to their website, kwsellingteam.com. kwsellingteam.com. Sell your home without hassles. Go to the people we trust. Brock is the man. Brock invests. He doesn't spend. He invests money in marketing long before he ever gets your listing, before you ever make that call, before you ever do that text to that 303-3262 number. He's already investing in people like us and because he wants to get you the best bang for your buck. And Keller Williams is the real deal. I mean, the real deal. So you cannot go wrong here. And lastly, if you're on our website, just go to TomMattShow.com, bottom of that homepage, right at the bottom, and you can click right through. You'll see his handsome mug there, and just click on his banner, and away you go. It's all good, and we love having him as a sponsor. We hope that you reach out to him. If you've got questions, don't be afraid to reach out to Brock. He won't bite you. He will help you. Absolutely guarantee it. All right, back to the show, Trends for 2024. We were just talking about helping our young people buy homes because the last episode we did, Brock, I know you saw the video where I opened the video with, we need people to buy homes. You still feel the same way?
Well, yeah. I mean,
of course.
And here's why. People need to buy homes because they need to be able to become financially independent. And the data is insurmountable. 95% of all millionaires use real estate ownership and investment as a key component of that wealth building strategy. It is impossible to become financially independent if you do not own a home. You need to own at least one home, and you probably realistically need to own about 4 or 5 in order to guarantee your total financial success.
There you go. I mean, the whole point is the equity that you will acquire. Plus, when we were talking about rents, and we'll go back into that rental thing again, it's really absurd about paying $1,000, $1,500, $2,000, $2,500, $3,000 a month for rent when you can get in as a young person. I loved what you said about the 3% down. Is that new?
No, that's been around for a while. So most, whether it's FHA or conventional, you can do a minimum 3% down payment.
Very interesting. So 3%, and what's the downside of that?
I mean, there isn't a downside. I mean, you have to pay PMI until you get to 20%, but that's not a big deal. That's still substantially more advantageous than renting.
Of course, that was my point. That was the leading softball I just pitched to you, and you just drilled it. I mean, for sure. Even if you have to pay private mortgage insurance, PMI.
Yep, private mortgage. Yep.
If you have to pay that, you're still ahead of the game. So you're still ahead of the game. And if you're wondering about this, everybody, call Brock. I mean, how many times do you get calls on people just asking questions? Like when we do the radio program and your voice is out there all over the place, do you get a lot of calls per week on just information? Do you talk to people a lot about that kind of stuff?
I might get 1 or 2 calls a week. I get a lot of calls from past clients and Sphere of Influence members who want to run different scenarios by me. I get a fair amount,
excuse me. What would the other scenarios be? That's a really good point. What would you just give us? Illustrate that little story that you're setting up there.
A lot of people check in and just want to figure out, like how much equity they have in their home, and then, a lot of my clients are in their 70s, and early 80s, and many of them are trying to figure out at what point they transition to like an over 50 apartment or like an assisted living type thing.
Right.
And it's all about Of course, none of them want to move, right? That's why would you? You want to stay in your home, but like you have that window of time where you have your health, but you know there's a certain period of time where you're going to end up selling that last home and moving, and you're just trying to get it right so that you don't wait too long.
Right. Exactly. You don't want to wait too long, and you want to start looking at things just like we did. Let me give you a quick snapshot of the Little House Lansing when we were looking at this and getting a hold of Brock, and then Mike Dedman helped us. We started, and this was just very random, everybody, because Brock had told us what we had to do. I've shared this story before, but I haven't shared the story on Little House Lansing too much. We just started driving around and looking at things and looking at neighborhoods and kind of figuring things out. And then we just saw a sign to this little house that was just a tiny little spot and nice, cute little neighborhood, and went through it and said, you know what, this is a real diamond in the rough. And so we went in and we did the strategy thing. And this is why I want to carry things through. Again, the rest of this show is talking about the strategies that we implemented. Brock, you helped us because I had gotten bounced on deals when we bought our home in Wisconsin by going in lowballing stuff and not being educated enough on like setting up a escalation clause, setting up the down, setting up, just all of those little tips. Let's start with that. We got about 3 minutes ago before we end this segment, but talk about some of those strategies, because when we did it, when we got Little House, we got it. And it was like, I wanted it. I wasn't going to play games. I wasn't trying to lowball anything. Please go ahead. Share some of your astute information.
Let me give like the top 6, and there won't be a lot of detail to them. If somebody needs more detailed information, call me.
Okay.
But like these are the main things they need to know. The use of an escalation clause, number 1. The use of an appraisal guarantee, 2. When you do your home inspection, limit repairs to not so like putting a limit, like we won't ask for any repairs less than $2,000 on a home inspection, right? That lets people know you're not going to nickel and dime them. Making sure you're working with a good local lender for your area, right? That's a lot of the respect of an offer comes from who you're financing with. Number 5, your agent is part of that value proposition. So if your agent doesn't have a great reputation or your agent's inexperienced, that can cost you winning, right? Kind of have to make that decision before you write the offer, though. Your good faith deposit. Industry standard is 1% for the most part. However, a great way to make your offer appear stronger than it is to beef that up. Maybe instead of doing, let's say it's a $100,000 home, instead of doing a $1,000 good faith deposit, do $5,000, right? Apples to apples, sellers are going to look at, man, they're doing a $5,000 good faith deposit. They're really serious about our home, right? So those are the things that if you implement them in your offer are going to give you a better than 70% chance to win.
We're going to come back because those were all such good points. I want to take some time in the next segment, the final segment of the show, everybody, to talk about each of these so that Brock can kind of explain to you. It's sort of self-explanatory, but never assume that people understand what we're talking about. If you're young and you've never been in real estate and you're like, what? We get it. That's why we're talking about the young people and helping young people understand the value of their money. And again, what Brock just said, the value proposition. So we'll talk about that. Let me reset this thing. Real estate trends for 2024, education, all of these positive attributes that Brock brings to radio and to video is so important for your future wealth. You must pay attention to this stuff, and I'm not kidding. This is very serious stuff, and we want to help you be successful. Brock Fletcher's here. Trends for 2024, Reality Real Estate. This is the Tom Matt Show.
Thank you again to our Segment 4 sponsor, Brock Fletcher, real estate agent at the selling team with Keller Williams Realty. For more information on services provided by Brock, please call his personal cell phone at 517-303-3262 or by emailing Brock at kwsellingteam.com. This is the Tom Matt Show.
so happy to have Brock Fletcher as a friend and as a sponsor and as a educator and as a person who helps young people, because this is intrinsically, it warms our soul. If you help other people, it makes a massive difference. Trends for 2024 and the reality of real estate. Remember, our website is where you can get a hold of us. All of our social media is there. TomMattShow.com. Please go there. Check it all out. The contact box is there. And just keep it simple. Go to the bottom of that homepage. Find Brock. Find Craig. Find Jamie. Find other people that we support as well. And get on the list and let's do some work together. Look at my hashtag Dad Talks. Do those every day. Check those out. Just be aware, I do get a little language heavy on some of those things, but I did work for the football team at Michigan State for 20 plus years. So, I did get exposed. And here's me blaming other people for my cursing. People who know me know that's a bunch of bull crap. Anyways, Brock, how do you want people to get a hold of you?
Well, my cell phone is still the easiest way, whether it be a text or a call. It's 517-303-3262. And I do my very best to answer every time, but if I don't, I do return my calls promptly.
There you go. Now, what Brock, continuing the thread from the previous segment, because trends for 2024, all of these things are happening. We've kind of covered a lot of that, the availability, the 3% down, young people. We're really trying to help and focus on young people. That's how the show goes sometimes, about education and educating young people and people who have never been in the real estate market. Maybe they've been a renter their whole life. But Brock just gave us a list of 6 things. I'm going to throw these back to him so he can kind of explain what those are, and we'll cover this very, very clearly in this segment. The first one is what we used, and it worked. We didn't even have to use it, but I'll let Brock explain why because these features, you may not need them. You may not need to utilize them, but if you have them in your pocket with you on your transaction, you've got a shot, and it's very, very competitive because it's a supply and demand thing, right? I mean, we haven't even talked before we cover the list, Brock. Where are we at with availability of properties right now? Because I know it's been down for a long time.
Yeah, we're at 511 active properties in the greater Lansing area, which is about a 17 or 20 day supply.
Then that's very, very low, very low, very low. So
we've been there for a long time.
Yep,
and it's probably not going to change much for a long time.
And this is why these strategies and the things we're going to talk about right now with these 6 points are very critical for you, because from my own experience, when you find a spot that you like and you haven't done enough of the legwork and you get scooped, you're going to be bummed. You're going to be sad. It's really upsetting because you invest a lot right, Brock? I mean, you invest a ton of time, right?
Yeah, when you lose, it hurts.
It hurts.
Because you think it's your dream home.
Exactly. Okay, so to help people avoid having that pain, and believe me, it's pain, and I went through it, and it sucked. I mean, escalation clause. Why is it important, and what is it?
It's important because when you write an offer, you don't have any guarantee that you will get a counter offer or that you'll get a second chance, because you don't know whether another offer is going to come in and compete against you, and you can't control whether the listing agent is going to give you a fair shake on playing to win. So what it is, let's say the home is $300,000. That's the listing price, and you're happy to pay that, but your absolute maximum price that you're willing to pay is $330,000. So let's say you write your offer for $300,000 and you put in an escalation clause that you will beat the next highest offer by $5,000 up to a price not to exceed $330,000. What that means is if there's a competing offer and it's anywhere, if let's say it's $310,000, that would automatically mean that your offer would beat that offer by $5,000 up to a price not to exceed $330,000. So it keeps you in the game if your initial offer wasn't good enough and the seller doesn't give a counter offer to you.
There you go. I mean, if you're competing, that's why the escalation clause is number 1 on the list, because it's and we didn't have to use ours. I put a $10,000 escalation clause on ours, Brock.
And here's the thing that you have to remember, Tom, that people have to remember. some agents are not very good and they're not very professional. And you when you submit an offer, at that time you might be the only offer, but then another offer might come in. And if that agent is lazy or unethical or something, you might be getting left out in the cold and never even got another chance. So you have to write your very best offer, because you don't know that you're going to get a fair shake.
Exactly. And you can't go back unless they say, do you want to bump this offer? You're not going to hear that.
You probably won't get a second chance.
You won't get a second.
That's why you got to write your best.
Exactly. You got to write your best, and you got to keep this in mind, because don't think, well, I'll just counter. No, that's not the way it works. This is not an auction. This is real estate.
Very,
right?
very, very few counter offers.
Very few counter offers. This is not an auction where you can say, hey, yeah, raise that bid. No. That's not how it works. All right. Thank you for that. Appraisal about that.
Yeah. Appraisal guarantee. So what that means, you're basically you're giving the sellers peace of mind. You're saying, in case our bank appraisal comes in low, we're willing to guarantee a certain amount of it. So like it might be a $10,000 appraisal guarantee. Let's say that's a pretty run of the mill appraisal guarantee. So by putting that in the offer, what you're telling the seller is, in case the appraisal comes in low, if it comes in $10,000 low, we're willing to make up the whole difference. Right? So let's say again it's that $300,000 offer. It appraises at $290. You're willing to bridge the gap to $300. No problem. If it comes in lower than that, then there would have to be some type of renegotiation, or the transaction can fall apart. It is important that you work with a good lender, because the best lenders have the best appraisers. That gives you the best chance of getting a good appraisal.
That covers point 4 right there. Why you want to use a local lender. I want to give you time to talk about the inspection limit and that reassurance. I don't think I've heard you say that before. If you had, I wish I had done that in the house in Wisconsin that we bought 4 or 5 years ago, because we ran into immediate problems that I wish I would have caught on the inspection, but things happen. But this could make your deal fall apart.
Yeah. So I've seen in the past where people have decided to waive their home inspections, and then major issues are discovered, after the transaction. And really, a seller just wants peace of mind that they're going to be treated fairly at the home inspection. And so I don't like for our buyers to waive their home inspection. I want them to do the home inspection. I want them to understand the condition of the property. We can achieve a very good outcome by simply putting a minimum standard within the offer regarding a home inspection, where we won't ask for any repairs below a certain amount of money. That lets them know that we're not going to, nickel and dime them or go after ticky-tack items. So my favorite thing to do is to say, we're going to do our home inspections. We're going to do them within 7 business days, but we're not going to ask for any repairs less than $2,000 in cost. And that gives the sellers peace of mind, but it still gives the buyer the security to know that, like, hey, if we find that the furnace has a cracked heat exchanger, it's still completely appropriate for us to ask the seller to replace the furnace.
We wound up getting a home warranty from our seller, which we utilized. She agreed to that, and there was a couple things that came up, and that took care of a bulk of it. So that's just another thing with the home inspection that you could go with. Brock, we're going to run out of time here, and quickly, I just need you to talk about the deposit and then do a wrap for me. Would you please? A takeaway?
Quick. Earnest money deposit is what shows your good faith to complete the purchase. Industry standards 1%. If you beef it up, it's an easy way to make your offer look stronger, and it's still protected by your home inspection contingency and your financing contingency. So that money is still protected for you.
That is, and you don't have any, you're not losing anything, everybody. You're not losing anything because you're trying to get this deal, and it's still going to go towards the purchase price of the home. So keep that in mind, because that, as Brock was saying, you want to bring all of it to the table. All right, what's your takeaway from this episode? Another great one, number 19 for you. What's your takeaway in about 30, 40 seconds?
Man, here's my takeaway. My takeaway is, if you're considering buying, this is going to be the least intense time of the year, right? It's cold, so only serious people are out there buying right now. If you want to buy in a non-competition environment, this is going to be your greatest opportunity. There's still some competition, but it is only going to get more and more intense the more you wait into the spring. As interest rates come down, it's going to attract all the competitors back to the range, if you will.
If our show fits your business or group's mission, we want to be of service to you through our guests, like a Brock Fletcher, topics, issues. We are here for you. Always remember, before you can share love with others, you must love yourself first. Like saying that, love saying that so much. Thanks again to my brother from another mother, Brock Fletcher, for being with us, Sandy Matt, Craig Stiles, Jamie White, all of the students that have worked with us from Michigan State University over the years. We will talk to you next weekend, everybody. Have a great week. Go out and ignite your life. Remember, Tom Matt Show is a production of Boomers Rock Media. We want to bring your story to life. And lastly, I want to thank profusely Mitch Anderson for what he does to produce this show. Thank you, everybody. We'll talk to you next week. We are out.
The Tom Matt Show is produced by Mitch Anderson of Black Circle Studios. Original music from the Source of Light and Power by the Ark of All.